Hey everybody, it's EJ from EYEDESYN.com, and today I'm going to show you how you can add a walk cycle to your character with just a single click of a button. Let's check it out. Alright, so here we have our character we need to quickly rig and quickly animate using CMotion and add that really quick walk cycle, okay? So where CMotion lives is within the character object. So you need to rig up your character with the character object to utilize the CMotion automatic walk cycle attribute here. So we're going to go to character, and you can use whatever kind of rig you want, but I'm going to use Bendy limbs rig. And I'm just going to start building out my character. I'm going to hold the command and shift key down to add my legs and stay within this window, add my arms to stay within this window, and add a head. And we're just going to go to the adjust tab and just adjust all of these little components here. Okay, so this works just like the character object with any other type of rig. But for us, we're just going to be using this for a little bendy limbs rubber hose style of character. So this is the workflow you would use for your standard biped rig. You just place these little controller markers wherever you want. We'll place this one right by the wrist, this one by the elbow. We got our neck, so we'll place it at the base of the neck. We'll have the head at the base of the head, and the top of the head, you guessed it, at the top of the head. So really easy stuff. And then we're just going to adjust the waist. I'm going to hold the 7 key down just to move this controller without adjusting all the other controllers underneath, and bring this hips up to right about the bottom of where the groin section is, and then move my leg up to where the top of the leg would be. Move my foot down to about the ankle, and then place this bottom leg controller right at the tip where the toe would be. And then I'm just going to grab the knee, hold 7 key down again to move this independently of all of these other controllers, and place this right about where that knee would bend. So something like that. Okay, and we got our character kind of lined up and set up with the controller dots. And now we're just going to go straight to animate mode, and you're going to see we have all of our controllers laid out. And then to bind that rig to our little elements here, and again, these are all separated elements, and Bendy limbs rig is perfect for this type of rig where you don't have to deal with weighting or traditional methods that can be quite laborious for weighting and using joints. So what I'm going to do is go to my character object here, go to create deformers, hit that, and it's going to create all of these, this little hierarchy full of all of these different, basically areas, little nulls that we can place our corresponding limbs into. So I got my torso in the torso as a child of the torso null, my left leg as part of the left leg null, my left foot, I'll place the left foot underneath that left foot PSR, my right leg under the right leg, my right foot under the right foot PSR, left arm in the left arm, in the left hand, and the right arm's connected to the right arm, and the head over the head, whoops, make that a child of the head there, and the hand, child of the hand, okay, the hand PSR. And that's it. You just bound your character. We can move this around, and hey, look at that. We got a fully rigged character. Okay, we got the foot right here. We can rotate everything around. We can adjust this even more if we'd want to. We got the hips here doing its thing. Really fun. And kind of see if the head's working. Head's working fine. Looking good. So we got our character rigged up using Bendy limbs rig within the character object here. Now, if you go to your object tab here, you're going to notice this add walk button. Now, if I click that add walk button, you're going to see that everything kind of moved a little bit. And if I go ahead and hit play, you're going to see, hey, we have a walk cycle here. One thing you're going to notice, first off, is that the wrists are kind of just straight out to the sides. If we go to our arm controllers here and go to the controller tab, we can align hand to arm and fix that. Okay, so here we're going to go to the right arm, adjust that align to arm, and now we have the hands, whoops, accidentally reset that. We got the hands moving and grooving with the rest of the rig. Now this rig looks pretty good. We can adjust the poles here to control where our knees are going, where our elbows are going. So these are like the poles that control that. And the main thing with the CMotion rig is I can even go in here, move this out, move this arm out. If I wanted to, I can adjust all these different things. But mainly what we're going to do is go into the CMotion and kind of adjust the parameters here. So I'm just going to move this up, move this on down, and you're going to see all of this stuff that's basically animated for us to create this basic walk cycle, okay? And it's looking really, really good. So let's just see, like, I think the legs are getting, or the arms are being pulled down way too much. So what I'm gonna do for that is I can even adjust like how high this torso is going up and down. So if I go to my torso here in my object tab of CMotion, you can see the lift. And basically this is controlling the lift in the position Y. And you can see this animation curve that's basically applied to this torso controller. And this, you can even see that playhead going through there. We got the up and down, up and down. Now, if we go into our little options in the lift, we can adjust how high this lift, this torso controller is going. So if we move this down to say maybe 10, you can see that the torso is not moving up as high. If I crank this up really high, you can see this guy is really stoked and really happy to go where he's going. So really exaggerated kind of pose. And the great thing is all of these limbs are going to kind of stretch. So we got this really cartoony movement. We can always adjust this back down to say 7, and we have a much more low-key kind of torso lift. Let's go back into our CMotion and start adjusting all these other settings. So the pitch is basically, again, we're adjusting the torso. This is how much our character's torso rotates in the X. So we have the same setup. There's actually no curves here, but if I adjust this, you can see that this actually isn't really gonna do anything at all, okay? So you can go ahead and click in here to adjust the curve and see what that looks like. And now you can see that this is actually controlling your torso leaning forward and leaning back, okay? So you can, adjust these little controllers here, and you can see this is 0 degrees rotation, and now it looks kind of very jovial, which is really cool. And again, you can always adjust this value in the pitch rotation X, and again, that is on your pitch rotation underneath your torso, okay? So you can see that our arms are getting pulled down and it's causing some kind of weirdness. Our arms are getting stretched a little bit too much. So what we can do to adjust that is go all the way down to our not ankle, that's not your ankle. We're talking about wrists here. So we got our right wrist and our left wrist. And you can see the properties that are animated here are the lift in the position Y, the twist in the rotation Y, and the roll in rotation Z. Now, I think everything is fine with the rotation, but it's the lift of the Y position that's really, I think, is getting pulled way too much. Okay, so maybe if we bring this down, our arm, actually this is controlling how much this is moving up and down. Okay, so let's go to the wrist here, and this is kind of the lift going on there. So this is going a little bit too much. So maybe we'll just add a value of 5 and 5. So something like that. And maybe even less than that, maybe 2, a value of 2. So you can see that's adjusting just the lift in the Y, okay? Up and down. But we have this going way too far in the Z. So what we can do is just click on the actual left wrist, or actually this is the left wrist here, and adjust some of these settings on this individual spline object here. So you can see we have the horizontal movement, and if I bring this down, you can see what's going on there. If I increase this value, you can see this, we're adjusting this in the horizontal, okay? And then we also have the vertical, which is how high up or down this arm is actually moving back and forth. So what we want to do is adjust this so maybe it's not going down too far. So this is actually the centimeters from 0 Y, which is this ground plane. So if we don't want this to swing as much, we're actually going to bring this vertical up to, and you can see exactly what that's doing, to maybe 115. And we're going to match that in the right wrist as well. So we'll put in 115 for the vertical. And if I hit play now, you can see what's going on. Now maybe this is too much movement in that horizontal. Let's see what that looks like. So our horizontal on the left wrist, you can see it's not moving out as far, is 40. So let's just bring that to 40. And then for the right wrist, we're going to actually put in -40. So the horizontal and vertical can actually just move the position of that controller in the X and the Y, and then add that undulating lift in the Y on top of it using that lift. Now, I would say that the swing of the arms is way too wide, so we can adjust that as well. And how to adjust the wideness of the swinging of the arms and your stride of your feet is in the stride of our character. So the stride is the legs and the arms. So you can see this stride right here. If I click and drag, you can see that's controlling both the arms and the legs. So if we have a small stride, you can see he looks like an old man, like trying to make his way across the street. And if we crank this really high up, you can see, wow, that's really exaggerated. But we got this really big stride. Okay, and we can also adjust the time here in this overall settings. So this is how long the stride takes. So this is really slow motion. We got a very old grandpa trying to make his way here. And if we speed this up, man, he just had way too much Starbucks coffee and he's really excited to go. So we can get some really cool exaggerated movements here. And we can all control this with all of these different kind of sliders here. So this is your main stride. And this is just the time it takes for one step to kind of, one full left step, right step to actually do its thing. So this is really cool. What we can do now is, go and check out all these other options here. So it's fun to just even play around with, what each of these things do. Some of these have very subtle values in here. We can see what's going on here. This is actually the rotation of the head, this top. So you can see this twist, and now it's really twisting around. But you can see what exactly is going on there. So that's the top. Maybe just bring that down to 0, or maybe just give this a very small value. Let's do the roll and see what that's going. Actually, that's not affecting too much there. But if we go and stop that and go to the head, let's hit play and play around with the head settings. So say we want a little head bob. We'll go into the pitch and just adjust this. And you can see what's going on there. I don't think much is going on there in the rotation X, but if we go in the rotation Y, look at that. He's kind of looks possessed. If we do the roll, though, and add a little value in here, you can see that now he's kind of, whoa, little bendy head. So now it's just so cool to add these little details. And you got these kind of, you can add all this new personality into your character. So we have a little bit of head roll. Let's go to maybe the neck and add a little roll to the neck. And maybe this will be just a slightly smaller value. So now we got like a little bit of like overlapping animation, which looks really nice. Maybe for the torso, let's have the torso bend. So here we got the roll, and we actually currently have no roll going on, but if you see, whoop, whoa, but we have way too much roll going on. But if you just add a subtle amount, a subtle rotation, you can add, he looks so jovial, he looks so fun going on there. So now you can see with this added movement, maybe we go back to our right and left wrists and adjust how far this is going down. So maybe 105, so the arm's swinging lower, okay? And let's go and do the same thing to our right wrist. See something like that. And I think that's looking pretty good. And again, this is just so nice that you already have like the keyframe set for the most part, and all you do is adjust sliders, okay? So really, really fun stuff. You can really get a big swing going on through 35 in the lift, 35 in the lift here. Whoop, that's a little too much. We're having everything kind of rotate around. So maybe 15 and 15. And all of these sliders really make a lot of sense. Just think of each of these sliders as controlling the actual strength of the animation, of this kind of oscillation movement of the position Y of this right wrist controller, which would be this little red hand null over here. So it's very intuitive. CMotion is very intuitive. It's super easy to create your own very interesting animations. Maybe move this back. And again, adjusting the poles where your elbows are actually pointing towards is very important. Adjusting these little spherical items there. But now he's got more of like a, a wider kind of elbow getting splayed out there. Maybe adjust these knees. So we can also adjust, how wide the legs are from one another by going into our CMotion. And again, we're going to be adjusting the ankles. Again, this is so intuitive here. So we would adjust the horizontal, right? Boom. We're just adding a little bit of horizontal movement there. So maybe 15 in the right ankle. Click on the left ankle and add 15 there. And actually you can see 15, positive 15 was the wrong direction. So we'll do negative 15. And now we got this more of a wider strut. That looks kind of weird. So maybe just negative 5 and positive 5. Just to have a little bit more space between the feet. Okay, so again, we have the different lifts. You can see, like, is he really picking up his legs? Maybe we had 30 for that lift and 30 for, let's see, that's the ankle. Let's do, yep, lift and lift. So we just add 5 there. So now he's picking up his feet a little bit more. As you can see, maybe 55. So that's actually that's the left ankle. Let's do 55 on the right ankle, and he's really picking up his feet quite a bit. Maybe we adjust that pitch, so negative 35, and see what that does. You can see that's actually the rotation of the ankle there. So let's go to the pitch, and let's see, what did we have in the right ankle? So negative 35. Let's do negative 35 here as well, and we got something like that going on. So it's just so easy to create a walk cycle, add your own kind of whimsical movement, big strides, smaller strides, adjusting this as well. So he's like really stretching out his limbs there, or he's just kind of tiptoeing. Maybe he's tiptoeing or something like that. But he looks very jovial. We just adjusting a few of those settings here, and he looks like a very jovial kind of character here, which is really, really cool. So one thing you can do as well is you can set all of these options up, right? And you can look at what the waist does, like what rotation values we can adjust in there, adjusting all these sliders. But one cool thing you can do is we have a static walk right now. If we wanted to, we could have this walk in a straight line by choosing line, okay? So here we got the object, here we have this walking in the straight line. We can actually use a surface for this character to walk along a surface, which is really cool. Let's try that out really quick. Maybe we get a ye old landscape object here, and maybe make this a little bit bigger. And let's try this. And let's go into our surface, drag in that landscape, and check that out. Boom! He's walking along the surface. Now you're going to need to offset this a little bit to not have the feet kind of walking through, but check that out. He's walking over the mountain. Again, you're seeing the ankle kind of cross over there, so we just would need to, adjust some of the walk settings, but this is super, super cool. So that's walking over a surface. Okay, I'll delete that. Another really cool thing you can do is you can have this walk a path, and you can actually use a spline for that walking path. So let's go to our top view. Got my spline tool. Let's just click and drag here. And maybe he's kind of, doing a little wobbly walk here. And let's see what this looks like. So let's go to our CMotion. There's our path. And let's just rename this walking path. It's accidentally had caps locks on. So it's actually, loud noises, walking path. And there we go. We have our character walking along this path. Check that out. Just so super cool. Like, CMotion is really amazing. With Bendy Limbs rig and, even with Mixamo kind of character animation, it's just so easy to automatically add a walk cycle and just adjust it. You don't have to deal with setting all of these keyframes. The keyframes are already there. All you're going to have to do is just adjust some of your sliders here. Okay, so one example of kind of offsetting the animation is maybe you want that overlapping action on the neck. So maybe in the head, we adjust the phase, and basically the phase is offsetting the animation. So if we offset this about 20%, you can see what that's doing. It's actually offsetting this animation curve of the head. And let's actually have this walking static, so I'll choose static. So you can see how this is offsetting. So the head's kind of going and the neck is going afterwards. So we got that really cool overlapping animation going on there by just adjusting the phase. Okay. So really, really powerful, really art directable walk cycles, super easily without setting your own keyframes. All you're doing is adjusting sliders in each of these options. And I mean, you have a ton of options here for full on control of your characters. And it is now available to add one-click walk cycles to Bendy Lib's rig. So there's our rig. Start up the CMotion and boom, there you go. Render this out, upload it to Instagrams, tag me, tag it Bendy Lim's rig, and I can't wait to see all of your characters doing their cool struts. All right, so there you go. There's a little overview of CMotion and how you can get one-click walk cycles added to any kind of character rig that lives inside the character object, including now Bendy Lib's rig for Cinema 4D. And if you want to find out more about Bendy Libs, check out my website, EYEDESYN.com, and go to the store. It'll be one of the options there, Bendy Lib's rig, and can't wait to see all the different types of walk cycles that are coming out. So if you have any questions about CMotion, please leave all of your questions in the comments section below. And if you make anything with it, again, be sure to tag me on Instagram, on Twitter, hashtag that Bendy Lim's rig, so you can see all the other hashtags people have been using and see all the different fun little Bendy Lim's characters people have been making. And if you like this tutorial, please hit that like button. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. As always, really, really appreciate all of the support of everyone out there watching these tutorials, and always happy to hear people are learning stuff from me. So thank you again so much to all of you out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.